My name is Brian Paige. I'm an attorney, first and foremost, but I'm also the chief legal officer of Guss Injury Lawyers. We are headquartered in Houston. We have offices in New Orleans, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles.
Hi, I'm Melissa Graham. I'm with the Richard Harris Law Firm. I'm the COO. We're based out of Nevada. We have offices in Las Vegas and Reno.
Good afternoon, Mick Gunter with Daggett Shuler in North Carolina. We have 11 attorneys, practice workers' compensation, Social Security, and personal injury, chief operating officer and general manager. So we're a small firm. So sometimes I get to wear a lot of hats, but primarily focused on the operations and application of technology.
Hey everyone, I'm Shawn Lehocky. I'm the CEO of Lehocky Giordano out of Philadelphia. We do statewide Pennsylvania work comp, and we have a national Social Security disability and long-term disability department, as well as a nationwide referral business. You know, happy clients are the ideal. That's what we're striving for. But I think in reality, we are in the client service and human behavior business. It just happens to have lawyers that go to court. So I think we have to understand the point in time that our clients are in their life, where they probably lost their job if you're doing injury practice, probably don't know where the next paycheck's coming from, maybe have a family at home that they can't support. So they're in a state of panic and anxiety, and poor communication and poor customer service leads to letting that anxiety kind of take over their life and their interaction with the firm. So I think what we're trying to accomplish is maybe not necessarily a happy client during the journey, but an informed client, a client that feels they have the right advocate they can trust, that puts their mind at ease, at least for a little bit of time, that knows that their advocate or the firm fighting for them has got their back, keeping them informed, has laid out a diagnosis and a prognosis from a legal sense of where the case is going, what we're fighting for, and having them buy into that mission, and then have some peace along the way.
It speaks to kind of the efforts in communicating with your clients. I think oftentimes we think it's just client communication, but it's really the engagement and the building of trust. And, I think we talk a lot about proactive communication, but is it also productive communication? Is it making sure that they're staying informed? So I think we tend to think that it's just about conversation, but it's about building the relationship and gaining trust and engaging with the client in a meaningful way, not just relaying facts or information.
Client intelligence part, because I think that one of the things that I observed moving into sort of the PI and worker comp thing is two things Shawn brought up. One is people are having a bad time. And when people are in that bad spot in their life, people are proud. People don't want to wear their problems on their sleeve necessarily. And they're not as open or comfortable talking about their situation. And, what we've been diving into lately is how do we, thinking of client intelligence, is how do we build that relationship with the client so that they will share information with us that helps advance their case. I think one of the ways I learned that was talking to attorneys and paralegals, and the number of times that thing came up of they learned something late in the case or at the conclusion of the case, even like, if I would have known that earlier, we could have gotten a better outcome, or we could have done a better job. So that's a lot of how we're thinking about client intelligence right now, is stacking on top of the relationship and satisfaction to dig in and gather information that we might not otherwise be able to have without that deep relationship.
That's a good point, because that goes back to the overall client experience, right? And, to add to what Shawn said, we're trying to meet the client where they're at, right? We're trying to, talk with them on the phone if it's that, or, give them an app to make it easier to communicate with us, all with the mission of making their overall experience as positive as possible in a time when, again, they're, it could be the worst time of their life. So, that's kind of what we focus on from the moment, they're injured until the moment, we hand them a check, or a jury hands down a verdict. We try to stay one step ahead of the client in terms of providing them what they may need in those moments throughout the course of the case.
I think one of the other things on the experience is it's important to, you know, understand we spend millions of dollars every year marketing and branding our firm, and making sure that that experience is you are the firm that you're marketing. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And I think that becomes the challenge, right? Is in the busyness of what we all do, you know, how do we make every client, whether their case is, you know, big or small, feel like they're a priority. And so I think it's every time you pick up the phone, I think that client experience is one of the things that, you know, you can do a great job, but you could drop it off in the end because they don't get their settlement check fast enough. Like it's not just about, you know, a singular, you know, getting them to sign up or a singular event. It's every time you interact with that client, and just making sure that you know, you're doing what you said you were going to do. And a lot of that comes from educating your team and how you brand yourself and what our clients can expect, and then holding everybody in your org accountable for that.